Welcome to the Living Big podcast, where we're all about embracing life to the fullest. Hey, I'm Marlie.
And I'm Kylie, and we're thrilled you're here. We explore how to pursue our passions, nurture meaningful connections, and inject some serious fun into our lives.
We're here to show you you're not alone.
And we want to do what we can to ease the stresses of everyday life and help you in your journey of living big.
Hello, and welcome back to the Living Big podcast with Marlie and Kylie. Kylie and Marlie. We still can't decide which one sounds better, so if you have a suggestion, please let us know.
It has to be our real names.
Right? Yes. I was more like the order. Kylie and Marlie, Marlie and Kylie. We don't know. Maybe our names are like similar enough that
It just sounds
matter.
the same in my head.
Yeah.
Either way.
Exactly. Yep. But thank you for tuning into another episode of our podcast.
We're so excited to be here with you again today.
Yeah.
We have way too much fun preparing these and then talking to y'all. I love it.
Absolutely. And I feel like as we're building momentum, just for ourselves even, like we're just having even more fun. We are getting way into planning the episodes and figuring out what we got planned for the future, who we want on the podcast. There's people that are going to be coming on and we're so excited.
Lots of cool people.
Anywho, so we're just really excited. It's been so fun so far and so rewarding to just see that people listen to this every time. It is just the coolest thing. So.
Yeah. The imposter syndrome, I think, is like a really real thing.
Yeah.
And legitimately, I've seen so many funny reels and things about podcasts where it's like me and my bestie, we get together and we record a podcast for us to listen to.
Yeah.
And that has not been the case with this so far. And it's been like surprisingly awesome.
Surprisingly so amazing.
Yeah.
So to kick things off, we've got an amazing rating from one of our dear friends who sent us a text, and she just says, this is from Kennedy, and she says, honestly, I love it. I think you and Marlie are just so emotionally mature. She's talking about Kylie. And I love just hearing your podcast and thoughts on everything, especially when you talked about shifting your mindset on how you felt like you had to have a bunch of friends, but now you know that you just need good friends with deep connections. I really resonated with that. It was so good. Oh, she's so sweet.
This was specifically after our interconnectivity episode, but I just loved that she shared this with us. It's so nice.
Yes. And finishing what she said, she just says, and I think even if you're not a mom, but want to be a mom one day, you guys are just sharing amazing gems of knowledge that can really help. I know. I can't get over that. I cannot get over it.
Thank you, Kennedy. And I'm sorry I just used your text, but I was like, this is too nice.
I know.
It was so awesome for us to hear that and to hear what you're resonating with as well.
Super helpful for us. All the feedback is so helpful. We have so many ideas and things for what we want to come up with and what we want to talk about and things, but it's really helpful to see that, one, you like it, and two, if you have any ideas or things like that, that's super helpful to us. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Another note that has nothing to do with our topic today, but we got new microphones.
Yes. I feel fancy.
So official. I feel so fancy. It's so fun. These are like podcast mics, so I just think they look so cool if you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
And hopefully it sounds even better for our listeners.
Yeah.
So you'll have to let us know if you're liking the new sound.
We've gotten multiple complaints, mostly from my husband, that we're too quiet, and so we've upgraded.
Yeah.
I feel so cool.
It is. It's so awesome. It's so fun. We're doing the thing.
Yes.
And we love it.
Doing the thing.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of us.
Me too.
Oh, it's awesome. So today we're kicking things off with an awesome topic. We're talking about building your village.
Oh, I love this one.
Yeah.
So good.
We're pretty passionate about it because, I mean, at least for us, like, we're part of each other's village. And so I think we've got a lot to say and have learned a lot. I mean, obviously we're not experts because we're still new at this, but I would say we have a lot that we've learned and have figured out. So want to share some thoughts. So
I think this is such a cool concept. It's been said a lot of times that it takes a village to raise kids. I think that's genuinely true. I think even without kids, we need villages.
Yeah.
I think, again, it's so important, our relationships, that we nurture those and that we have meaningful relationships to fulfill our life and to make it meaningful. And so we want to dive into what it takes to create that.
Yeah.
And I think again, we're not perfect at this, but this is something we've both worked really hard on and that has not always come easy to us.
Yeah.
And so I think some of the tips and things that we're going to share today and the experiences we're going to share will hopefully paint a picture of how you can do this for yourself, because it can be really isolating and scary to be a parent or an adult without support.
Yeah.
And we have figured out some ways to have a support system and a beautiful village and friendships with people in our adulthood. And so we want to share those with you.
Yeah. We have a lot more research in this episode, so that's kind of cool. We'll share the links and articles that we found. There's just so much science behind the idea of having a village to help raise your children. It really hasn't been until kind of in recent years, within the last, I don't know, I would say anywhere from 100 to the last 50 years, that our society, especially here in like Western America kind of a thing, society has been like, no, I'm just going to raise my kids by myself kind of a thing. And I'm not sure why that is exactly, but it's not the healthiest.
Just, I think modern society, like even the way that our houses are nowadays and things like that, like have kind of made that happen. And there is just so much, I mean, technology, like so many advances, and there are obviously really awesome things about that too. We have a lot of amazing freedoms and different things like that. But in this aspect, I'm like, I think we're missing something if we isolate ourselves too much.
Yeah. I think we try to be on top of it a lot, at least for me as, you know, as a go-getter type of person. I'm like, I'm on top of it. It's all good, you know? And so I have definitely struggled with the building a village thing.
Oh, for sure.
So
it's so hard and vulnerable to allow yourself to open up your heart and your home and yourself to another individual or individuals. Yeah. I also, like, I'm such an independent person, so some of the pride in me is like, I can do it myself.
Yeah.
I can do hard things all by myself.
Absolutely.
I don't need anyone.
And that is true.
Yeah.
And you can have people in your life that help support you.
Yeah.
Like, why have we villainized that idea?
I'm like, it can be both. You can be independent and strong and able to do things yourself, and then also want to have fulfilling relationships that help you out when there are moments where it's harder to go it alone.
Maybe it's that we have felt like we're taking advantage of people, or we fear that we might take advantage of people if we do hand them our kids for a little bit. Just because, like, we know kids are hard.
Yeah.
You know, they're each individual little humans, and they have their own little things. And that can be tough to, like, relay to a person. And you're just like, well, it's just easier if I worry about it. You know, like, you just don't even, I don't even want to do that.
It feels like a burden sometimes. Like, I don't want to burden someone with my stuff because they've got their own stuff.
Right.
So I'll just hold back my stuff in hopes that then they're all good.
Yeah. So we're going to share kind of the science behind it and different expert opinions on why it's important. So kind of starting off here, we've got, in the absence of the village, we're disadvantaged like never before. We may have more freedoms than our foremothers. Ooh, I like that. But our burden remains disproportionately oppressively heavy. Ooh, it does.
Yeah.
We're like just carrying everything by ourselves, you know? Since the beginning of time and until very recently, mothers have borne life's burdens together. We scrubbed our clothes in the streams while laughing at splashing toddlers and mourning the latest loss of love or life. Oh, I love that. We wove, sewed, picked, tidied, or mended while swapping stories and minding our aging grandmothers. We tended one another's wounds, both physical and emotional, relied on one another for strength when times were tough, and sought counsel from our community's wise, experienced, and cherished elders. Village life fostered a sense of safety, inclusivity, purpose, acceptance, and importance. Those are words that I just feel like we need more of in our lives. Yeah. These essential elements of thriving were built in. So this is from an article from Motherly that we'll share out, but so good.
I think the one thing that I would caution here, because I love this article and I love these quotes, that's why we wanted to include them. But I would also say it's easy to say, oh, the grass was greener on that side. Like, obviously they struggled too.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways with all of these amazing things, like the idea that it was like laughing and splashing while they did their laundry and stuff. Like they literally had to hand scrub their laundry, you know? So it's not that the grass is greener on one side or the other, and we're not trying to like rewrite history, but I do love the idea and the reality of tending to each other and relying on each other for strength when it is tough and when you need counsel, and not just trying to go it alone, and what that did for them, the safety and fulfillment that it gave them and the purpose that it gave them, I think are important things to focus on.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people didn't live as long, you know?
Yeah.
People had more loss probably than we do currently, hopefully, you know, just because of modern medicine and things. There's so many advancements that we've made. It's not fair to compare like our situations are hard to them, because we definitely have our own hardships, you know. They're just different, you know, but we can learn from their example, their experience in the past 10,000 years, you know.
And I do think I just think like it's beautiful
Yeah.
that they were able to create those villages despite what they were going through.
Right.
And I think we can learn from that, and we shouldn't lose that in our modern society.
Yep.
And I genuinely believe that we weren't meant to do life alone. I think that so many of us are trying so hard to be super moms.
Yep.
We are trying to grit it ourselves. We're trying to be parents that can replace all of the people that came before us, right? We're like, I'm not just mom, but I can also be everyone else that used to be a part of that village for my child. I can be their best friend.
Yeah.
I can be their cousin. I can be their sibling. No, you cannot.
Nor should you be.
No, that's
Don't do that.
exhausting. And so parenting like that, I think, really is isolating.
Yeah.
And I've found so much empowerment and love and support in allowing people into my life and creating my own support system and building my own version of a modern village.
Exactly.
And it does look different. Obviously, our houses aren't all like literally facing in and we're out washing and scrubbing together.
Right.
So it looks different.
Yeah.
And that's why we want to talk about this, because I think it is in some ways harder to build that village, because we do live behind very closed doors that we don't necessarily even have to come out of.
Right.
And we have these like beautiful but hard technological walls and barriers too that can keep us from creating meaningful connections.
Yeah.
But they can also be tools to help us.
Yeah.
So
Agreed. Oh, I love that. Yes. One of the things I love about our situation that we're in now is we get to have our own village, like you were saying. We get to build our own. We get to find our own people.
it's not just the person who's next door to you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, I love my neighbors, but I wouldn't consider them part of my village, right?
Right.
My village is who I would consider are my closest friends, that I would consider even family maybe.
Yes.
That I know I can rely on for anything, right? I feel like we've been able to kind of build that within our families and other people around us. So
I was going to say, even it's a beautiful blessing modern society has given us cars, because you do live far away. If we were back in the olden times, I wouldn't be able to come like to your house, you know, and you wouldn't be able to come to mine. And so it's really cool that we do get to build our own village with the people we want in it. We get to like handpick our village.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we live in an amazing time when we do have technology. We do have so many things at our fingertips that can help us to strengthen our village, and we can pick those people and be close to those people. I mean, you've got friends in Costa Rica that you're able to stay connected with and are going to be in town soon, and they're still part of your close friends.
Oh yeah,
you know? Part
part of my village. We talk on Marco Polo all the time.
Amazing.
You know?
I love
awesome.
that. See, that would have never been able to happen.
Yeah.
Like, it would have taken weeks, months to get like a letter. So super cool.
But I like the idea of building your own village and like handpicking the people that you want in it for the things that you need. There is a concept of a village in modern parenting that comes from an article as well. And it said, in modern parenting, the concept of a village means that raising kids isn't a solo gig. It takes a whole crew. Your village includes not just family and neighbors, but also friends, coworkers, online communities, and anyone else who's got your back. They're there to lend a hand with childcare, offer advice, and just be a shoulder to lean on when things get tough. Building a strong village is key because it gives you support, camaraderie, and a sense of belonging in the wild world of parenting. So don't be afraid to reach out and build your tribe. It truly does take a village.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And it really does. I will say, because it's not built into like your society and you have more flexibility or more of a hand in who you want in your village, it's your responsibility to like find those people, right?
It does take more effort.
It takes more effort. It also takes being very aware and cognizant of the people in your life kind of thing, thinking, okay, is this person helping me? Are they making me feel my best? Are they building me up, or are they tearing me down? Like, is this person really worthy of being part of my village? Like, I want the best for my children. You want the best for your children, right? And so thinking of that and saying, okay, I want people who are going to be the best for my children, right? And for me, for me as well, but like for them first and foremost, right? So thinking, kind of keeping that in mind as you're handpicking these people, right? And maybe it sounds like we're being like overly protective or picky or things like that, but you get to be. That's the privilege of our life that we live in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool, Like, I don't feel like you need to apologize for who you feel you need in your life. Like, don't be apologetic of like, wow, this person like really helps me with this thing. Like, lean into that. That's great, Like, there are people there, and like allowing them to be part of your life is an incredible gift, not only to you, but also to them usually.
Yeah.
So
I think it also is going to take some more creativity for you to build your village in this way.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to talk about some ideas later, not right now at this segment in our podcast, but we are going to get into ideas of like how to do that as an adult, which is super awesome. But I do think that's also something just worthy of mentioning, is it might take some creativity, but you do get to handcraft it. And I think that's awesome. I think that becoming a part of something so incredible and huge like motherhood, where there's literally millions of other women doing it, is so empowering and so incredible. So I think finding yourself and then finding your people in that and joining a tribe, creating your village is the best.
Yes, absolutely. I know for me, like I work full time, and I may not have I may not have access to other mom groups or things like that. I do have access. I'm just not able to like go to those things all the time because I work
during
full time.
the day.
It's tough. I work a normal like 8 to 5 job kind of thing, and so I can't just not work during those hours, or else I just don't get paid, and I want to get paid. So it's kind of tough on me, and it feels kind of sad sometimes, but being able to find things outside of that, or scheduling time off when it's, available or appropriate, has been really helpful for me to be able to feel closer to moms and find other moms that I feel like I can connect with. There's so many opportunities though, outside of just like during the day hours to find your people. I mean, kind of people make fun of it. There's Facebook groups out there, but there are Facebook groups out there that are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
If you find a group of women that kind of vibe with you and you have similar views on things, that can be really helpful.
Yeah.
So
I'm all for you utilizing the tools that we have, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Marco Polo, Snapchat, it doesn't matter. Like, find your medium, find your people, start talking to them, create a community. Yeah. That's amazing. That's really awesome.
I feel like it's almost kind of scary when you start doing that though.
Yes.
So being okay with being a little vulnerable, a little scary. You know how like when you were a little kid and you were on the playground, you're like, ooh, let's be friends. It was easy, right?
Yeah.
And
where did that go? Why does that disappear?
Yes.
You become more aware of yourself and you're like,
what if they don't like me?
Ooh.
Kids don't feel that.
That's scary for me to go up and ask them that.
Yeah. But I've had those moments where I'm like talking with a mom and I'm like, wow, she's really cool. And I wonder if she's thinking the same thing. And then you'll ask like, hey, maybe we should like swap numbers or something like that. And then you do.
And some of your best friendships come from that.
Yes.
Like just being brave.
Yeah.
For a couple seconds.
Be brave for a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. No, it can definitely be a little bit scary, but like leaning into that vulnerability could lead to meeting incredible people that will uplift you, that you can uplift, and same with your children.
Yeah.
So
I
good.
love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I think, again, along the lines of one of the biggest challenges being our own vulnerability and asking for help. Both of us have felt this before, like what we were talking about earlier about like burdening people. But I also feel like for me, sometimes it feels like I'm failing or showing weakness if I ask people for help. But I don't think that's really the case at all. I don't think that's legit. I think it actually takes a ton of strength and courage to reach out to the people in your life and let them see a window of imperfection, a window of like, hey, I need help, whether that's babysitting, me time, like asking for advice, like, hey, I've noticed this goes really well with your toddler.
Yeah.
How do you do this? I am struggling so hardcore. That is very vulnerable, but there's no shame in really utilizing the resources that you have for your kids and for yourself. And so sometimes our own like guilt and fears can really hold us back from things that can really help us.
Absolutely. Well, and that takes, I feel like, a level of observation to notice, oh, this person's doing something that I want to be able to do.
Yeah.
The way that I would love to do it. And I need to go talk to that person, right? So you need to be paying attention to how other people are. And like, oh, this person definitely lives the life that I want to live, right? Or things like that. Like, just being observant of people around you. You never know who you might need in your life and vice versa. So
I think that's so amazing.
Yeah.
I just know for me, I very often have the knee-jerk reaction of saying like, I'm good. Thanks though. Like, thank you so much. That's so kind.
do you want me to watch your kid?
Yeah. And it's like, oh no, we're fine.
Yeah.
We're good. We got it. You know, can I bring you dinner? Oh yeah. No, we're actually really struggling, but we're fine.
Right. We just had a baby. It is like an absolute tornado went through our house and we don't have any food in our fridge, but no, you cannot bring us food.
It's so hard, but I really think it's life-changing if you can get in the habit of saying yes.
Yeah.
Even though it makes you a little uncomfortable. Obviously within boundaries.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to, I'm not saying just literally willy-nilly let people into your life to do whatever in the heck they want to do.
Right.
But letting go of maybe that knee-jerk reaction or asking yourself, why am I having that reaction? Do I actually need the help, but I'm just too scared to say yes?
Exactly. I was just thinking about one of my coworkers, one of my great mom friends who there's like a networking event at my job tomorrow. And I invited her. I was like, hey, do you want to go to this thing? And she was like, oh my gosh, I'd love to. She's like, but I have my kid and I'm not really sure what to do with him, kind of thing. Shout out to Abby. And, but she was like, would it be okay if your husband watched my kid while you and I go to this event?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, let me ask. And I knew it was going to be yes, but I just want to, double check.
Yeah.
Anywho, so I asked my husband, he was like, absolutely. Like, no big deal kind of a thing. This kid is so cute and easy. Like, I'm not even worried about it. But just the fact that she was able to be brave for just a couple of seconds and say like, can I ask that?
Yeah.
Would that be okay? Just because like kids, again, they're hard and it can be scary and it can be vulnerable and you don't know if that kid's going to like throw up or do weird things, shove a bean up their nose and have to go to the hospital, right? Like that's what goes through my mind. Is that what goes through your mind? Because that's what goes through mine.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
But like we're adults, we're parents, we will figure it out. If anything crazy happens, like it's fine. It's going to be okay.
And even in those situations, oftentimes we're so scared, but I'm like, Leo is going to have so much fun with a buddy.
Exactly.
So
it's great.
But I also understand it's really, really hard to ask. And there's something that like stops you. So our invitation to you is, and a challenge for you is to accept the offer.
Yeah.
Say yes more.
Yes.
And don't just say I'm good, thanks though.
Yeah.
Even though that's like more comfortable.
Right. Get a little uncomfy.
Yeah.
Get comfy with uncomfy. That's another one of our little mottos.
We want to know where you meet other moms. What suggestions do you guys have? We're going to ask this question on our socials. We also came up with quite a few ideas as well because like I said, like we've said, it's so fun that you get to handcraft it.
Yeah.
But what if you have no idea where to start?
Right.
Like what do you do to find your people?
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of options out there. I mean, I've met a friend, through work kind of a thing. We're part of a church that kind of has mom groups built in and stuff. But it also just depends on your area, your community. Do you have an active library? Maybe you're in like a music group class or something like that with your little kids, something like that.
A park, a play area. Yeah. And again, it's going to take some vulnerability and some bravery on your part to network in those places.
Yeah.
But start thinking of the places that you're already going with your kids or that you're already going in general and think about some of the things you're interested in. Again, I really wanted to find some people who were into outdoorsy things. So I started looking up Facebook groups.
That's awesome.
I was like, Utah outdoorsy women. Like
Yeah.
that people who want to kayak and paddleboard or hike or whatever, because that was interesting to me. Or start something. Find people in your area who have similar interests, but do get outside your house.
Yeah.
That's going to be probably one of the most beneficial things. Like Marlie was saying, parks, libraries, or like players or whatever else is happening. Go start attending community events and actually walking up to people and starting having conversations, especially if it's like family oriented community events. I know here in Utah, there's tons of family oriented community events.
Absolutely.
And tons of places. The splash pad in the summer, like whatever it takes.
So many splash pads around here.
If you live in an apartment complex, like start talking to the people in your gym or whatever it may be. You're walking outside. Getting outside is going to help you start to build relationships and find other people that you can include in your circle.
Yeah. Last year, I think it was right around the 4th of July. I don't remember. It was something in the summer. I just remember being really pregnant and I was like done and uncomfy. And we had gone to a parade that was in our town. It was like the town parade. And we just like set up camp, and there were some people sitting next to us, and they had a couple kids that are around our kids' age, and we're just talking with them, you know. That can be scary for people to just like talk to random people, but it's worth it. Okay. It's absolutely worth it. Like we just sat there, talked for a little bit, and it was fun. And we swapped numbers. I don't know if anything will ever happen from it. Like we've invited them, they've invited us. It just like never quite worked out, but it was still like, it was a learning experience in the moment to be able to just talk to those people, get their number, be a little awkward for a bit. It was great.
I think also like joining a group can be something scary if you don't know a lot of people.
Yeah.
But they could ultimately become really important people for your life, and they could become some of your very, very best friends.
Yeah.
And so again, saying yes to maybe some things that you wouldn't normally be super comfortable with. Like Marlie and I are part of a bunco group. We love it. I didn't know. I knew one girl when I guess two girls when I first started going. And then now I've gotten to know all the women there, and I think they're amazing and beautiful, and I love hearing their stories. Yeah. And we even got that text from Kennedy at the beginning that we shared of this episode.
And we know her because of Bunko.
She's
so become a good little friend.
Yeah, she's amazing. And so just, again, like getting outside of yourself, getting outside of your house, getting outside of your comfort zone, that's going to be the way that you can network and find the people that you need to.
Yeah. You can also dig into those relationships that you already have with people. Where in your life do you have people that you're already friends with, you already know, and can build those deeper, stronger relationships with, you know? Like with our bunco group or with our book club or just like things like that, you know? Like where is it that you know people and can be extra vulnerable and just let them in a little bit, you know? There's always opportunities.
I think of like building your circle in your village a little bit like dating. Yeah. You know, like it might be uncomfortable and maybe you guys won't mesh and maybe you won't continue to hang out after that. But like, what's the harm in like going on one date?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
exactly.
Like invite someone from your neighborhood. If there's a young family, you know nothing about them, invite them over for dinner or for games or for a quick dessert or whatever. Give it a test run. See if like you can gel. See if you can mesh. Yeah. Another really important thing for me, I think, is volunteer opportunities. Asking to serve other people is going to help you connect to people more than anything else. Because it's one thing to ask for help yourself, but it's a whole nother thing to offer that to someone and to give them that. Like they feel a bond with you. So that's another great way to meet other moms.
I love that. Yep. Many studies have shown that people with strong social supports live longer, healthier lives, whereas those without tend to experience premature death and other ailments. Oof.
Yikes.
Caring for others releases hormones that help reduce the impact of stress on the brain and the body, which can be harmful to our sleep, immune functioning, and overall health when experienced for prolonged periods. In a study shared in a Harvard article, one study which examined data from more than 309,000 people. That's a lot of people, right? 309,000. I said that right. Yeah, okay. Found that lack of strong relationships increase the risk of premature death from all causes by 50%.
That's crazy.
You are twice as more likely
to live longer.
or to die early
Oh, yeah.
if you don't have strong relationships
And if you do,
social supports.
you're twice as likely to live longer.
Right. An effect on mortality risk roughly comparable to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. Not a week. A day. Woo.
Dang.
And greater than obesity and physical inactivity. For example, they found that it helps relieve harmful levels of stress, which can adversely affect coronary arteries, gut function, insulin regulation, and the immune system. Other line of research suggests that caring behaviors trigger the release of stress-reducing hormones. Research has also identified a range of activities that qualify as social support, from offers of help or advice to expressions of affection. In addition, evidence suggests that the life-enhancing effects of social support extend to giver as well as receiver.
Moral of the story, it's all about the people.
Right.
Turns out it makes you healthier.
It turns out it helps you live longer.
Yeah.
You know?
Like literally has a physical effect.
Physical.
Not just emotional,
Yeah.
not just like purpose.
This isn't fluff. This
Literal
isn't
physical.
woo-woo stuff. There are hard facts about how your body functions.
We need people. Yeah. We need people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So also be the person.
Yeah, be the
for someone else.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
My just thinking about this topic in general, I felt compelled to share an experience from my postpartum journey after Coley. And my postpartum experience, it's really hard for everyone. Mine was like a little bit different in the sense that I had some extra physical stuff happen to me, and it's honestly still kind of hard for me to talk about all the things that went on in my transition to motherhood. But one really incredible thing that I just have to mention that I remember was from about 3 months postpartum, I was at rock bottom. I just felt just absolutely horrible and done with the world, and I didn't know what to do. I was at a complete loss, and I was at my in-laws' house with Marlie and my sis-in-law Megan, and it was the 4th of July. It was super fun, but I had just had an emergency surgery for some of the post-birth complications, and I felt just really depleted. I felt so heavy. I felt so drained. I was trying to figure out the transition of, breastfeeding and being all the things for everyone in my life with a new baby, as well as my health complications, and just feeling like the whole newborn journey was not like what I had wanted or anticipated, and that it was just draining me dry. Yeah. My reality did not meet my expectations. But I really remember this moment distinctly where I was sitting at the counter with Marlie and Megan, and they were standing on the other side of the counter, and they asked me how I was doing, and I just absolutely broke. I just shattered, and it was so beautiful. Sorry, I don't mean to get emotional.
No, it's beautiful.
But they just came over and held me for as long as I needed. They didn't leave my side. And they were like, "We're here for you. We've done this. Like, it's going to get better." But they just held me, and they just were there for me when I needed it. And I look up to them so much, women who have done this journey and just letting me sob and letting me feel my feelings and being there to support. And then they helped me, and they got me some resources for further help, and they checked in on me and just loved me, imperfect version of Kylie, and embraced me and held me when I actually could not stand up by myself, And so I really do feel forever indebted to you and to her for that experience when I couldn't do it myself. I needed women who could feel the things I had felt and could help me put into words and just embrace me, And I really appreciate everything you did for me, and it did get better. Obviously, I'm feeling a lot better right now, but I'm really eternally grateful for that day and for the things that it taught me to reach out and to allow people into my life and to be vulnerable and to let them see some of the scary, dark places, even though that was tough for me. And this isn't the only time they did this, but this was a very impactful experience for me and an impactful time, because I still think about it pretty frequently.
Yeah.
I just love you guys.
Yep. I just want to point out, I guess, that it's definitely a give and take, you know, and you have to give a little bit, be a little vulnerable, and give an opportunity for that person to be there for you.
Yeah.
And then that will come back around, because there have been many times when I have cried to you and you've just been there for me. So it definitely, like, it's not just a one-time deal.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of drops in the bucket of building those relationships. That's like a deeper relationship type of concept, but it's so applicable when you are building your village, when you are trying to find those people in your life that are going to be there for you. I mean, there's different jobs for each person in your village. There's people that may have a more like advice type of role. There's people that may have a more like, we're just going to get our kids together and play type of role, right? So there's different people with different roles in your life. And so being able to kind of differentiate those and give and take in those situations, I think is so helpful and really important. So yeah, I love you.
Love you too.
I have also thought about that moment, that specific moment, and just how I really cherish that moment for me personally, because I see you and I notice, like, I don't have to be perfect as well, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're not holding each other to these weird standards because you've let me see that side of you and vice versa. So we're just there for each other because we've seen it.
Yeah.
So
Through the good and the bad.
scary,
Through
but
the thick of it.
so worth it.
Yeah.
For me, up until recently, I didn't have any family nearby that could be just automatically part of the village, right? I am from Texas. My family lives in Texas currently. Like my I guess now my extended, I don't know, my immediate family, my parents and my brothers, and my family, they all live in Texas. And then I have some family up in Idaho. I don't have family that
Your
I could
husband's
just...
Ukrainian?
My husband's Ukrainian. So his family was 3,000 miles, not 5,000 miles? I don't know.
A long
halfway
ways
around
away.
the world. And so we couldn't just be like, you know, call up grandma and just be like, hey, I'm needing to go do this thing really quickly. Can I drop them off for an hour? Like, oh, could you just come and hang out? Baby's asleep. You don't even have to worry about it, kind of thing. I just need to go run do this errand really fast. Or can you just come over so I can take a shower? You know, like I didn't have that opportunity.
Like, who do I call?
Exactly. And so it really forced me to build a village, because I quickly realized that I can't do this by myself. And I don't think that's an admission of weakness. I think that's an admission of an acknowledgement of reality.
I think that's a strength. I genuinely do.
I think it's just when you come to terms with the fact that, like, raising children is a lot, and that it just takes so much time and effort and whatnot, it's okay, you know? And then it, like I said, it kind of forced me to make decisions about, you know, who I needed in my life. I needed kind of, you know, people that I could go to for advice in my life, you know, and I've got those people. And I have people that I can call. I've been able to become friends with one of my neighbors, and I can kind of just drop things and just be like, hey, I have this thing. Can you...
Emergency.
Yeah, like...
Red alert.
Exactly. And vice versa. So being in that situation, like, just for me personally, I'm really glad that I was in that situation. Now Eager's family is here, and we have a little bit more access. I wouldn't say we have like a ton more access, because they're really busy trying to rebuild their entire life.
And they don't live close still.
Right. They're still a good like 35, 40 minutes away kind of thing. So we can't just like drop everything and come here. But so it's maybe a little bit easier, but at the same time, like, you still have to
figure it out.
You still have to find your people for each situation. And a lot of that also kind of comes down to being that kind of person as well for other people. So, yeah.
We're just going to be better for being those people for others and reaching out to find that for ourselves.
Absolutely.
There is so many studies, like the one we read, that highlight the impact of community, literally on our physical health, but on our mental health, on our overall well-being. I love this quote. I have no idea where it came from, but healthy parents lead to healthy families.
Yeah.
I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I can take care of my kids better. I can be there for them. I can be happy, you know. Healthy parents lead to healthy families, and healthy relationships. So I think jumping in, being vulnerable, accepting the power of community, and finding your people one step at a time. And if that has not been comfortable for you up until this point, start today. Do something this week to start building that village. And it might be a little uncomfy at first, but I promise it really is so fulfilling for your overall well-being in the long run.
And you'll live longer.
Literally.
It really is so good for not just you, but for your children and for those people around you. So it's up to you. Find your village. Know what you need in your village. Be observant of people around you, because you never know who could need you or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love you guys. We want to be a small part of your village. We want to be a support system, even if it's just Monday mornings when you listen to this podcast. Yeah. But we encourage you to follow us on our socials on TikTok and Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. You can follow us at Living Big Podcast. And we want to continue the community and the conversation and build that with you guys as well.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us this week on the Living Big podcast. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Join us on Instagram and TikTok for all the things, from relatable mom memes to fun girls' night ideas with your besties.
See you next week.